Well, it is almost to that spooky time. In fact, we're into a festive mood ourselves here at the NECC. It's Counter Strike here on Wednesday. My name is Vincent. I'm joined by Get the Bag Marky. First of all, hello and good evening from I assume Gotham City.
Yes, this is Gotham City that I'm in. As you can see, after the Joker 1 and 2, it's not. I mean, it looks kind of cool, but we're not doing too bad over here. I'm the Knight, Vincent.
Okay.
Yep, and I'm also I'm Banana Man as well. A crossover event. Batman likes to get festive during the festive times as well. This is my regular work attire. Mixed with my actual costume. So here we are.
Right.
Yep.
I get it now. Okay. I
Thank you.
I understand. Yeah, I myself am looking to maybe get into some more trap making attire. Well, I guess that's what I'm already wearing,
Are
but
you trapping or are you like making
I'm
traps?
I'm already a little bit of both maybe.
There you
Well,
go.
either way, I'm ready to get into our matchup. We got a spicy one. It
Yes, you
is
do.
Michigan Maize up against Texas Tech. Big implications as well for playoffs as we got to get top 4 from each of these groups to make that. Michigan Maize currently sitting there, whereas Texas Tech just outside of the cutoff. So, Marky, talk to me about some of these individuals that we've seen before.
Well, the last time we got to see exactly the Michigan Maze on stream, it was some unfortunate scenes on a couple different ends. It was during that broadcast that we actually had the old Charms update drop from, honestly, which stopped a little bit of a tough series for them against, I believe it was Texas A&M. But
Yeah.
there was, for sure, a lot of great players. I think Snarf on the op was particularly pretty impressive. Asian Fasho was a pretty consistent fragger. So Michigan Maze, after kind of that loss, that was in their second week. So after that, they haven't lost a best of 3, and they've been looking really good on some of their more consistent picks of Anubis and Ancient.
Yeah, and on the Texas Tech side of things, we haven't, I don't think, gotten to see them on broadcast just yet. It's a first for us, but what I do know is they come into this 2-3, currently a losing record, but looking to change that. And it was a rough start to the season with losses to Carleton and to Queens. But listen, once they moved back over into the United States, that is. Boston University, no big deal. Same up against Houston as well. So this is a Texas Tech team that has kind of been bouncing back all season, and I think that's what they're going to be looking to do here. A strong roster to be sure, and for me at the very least, I'm excited to kind of get a look at these guys because I've honestly been eyeing when we were picking up these matchups here for the NECC. I've been
Yeah.
eyeing some of those matchups pretty much the whole way through. I was kind of thinking about maybe that matchup that Texas Tech ended up winning just because a bit of a interesting rivalry. But regardless, we have a veto and we're already ready to talk about it.
Yeah, and I've already kind of mentioned that these particular units match up pretty well against each other. You see it come out fast, and I noticed that it's a bit usual for Michigan Maze. If you're not seeing Michigan exactly push for a Vertigo ban immediately, because they know that's exactly Texas Tech's perma ban as well. So to see that come up in the series would be daunting, and it lasts all the way. But they take out Nuke, and Texas Tech go for a pretty strong one from Michigan. They also play some very nice Mirage, but then Michigan goes for a comfort pick, just like I said. It's on to Ancient, and then back-to-back for them. Rather on Texas's pick, this is where the intersection happens. This is where they're both strong, is on Anubis.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be interesting for sure. I feel like honestly, Michigan, they get the better of this, in my opinion. I like you were saying, Texas Tech certainly not disappointed, but for me, Michigan come into this as the favorites, and they're going to be walking into this as the favorites after I see the veto. If that makes sense. So if we get to Dust 2, though, I think that is entirely a wild card. There's lots to be done. As I think we're just about ready to jump into things. It's Ancient to start, as we just talked about. Pumped to get this thing underway. As Texas Tech get the CT start.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's pretty interesting. I think for these first couple of maps, it's definitely favoring the stronger Michigan Maze side, coming in at 4-1. You can kind of give it to those kind of imaginary odds we're Maze setting with a little bit of bias because they are pretty strong and they are a nasty team to deal with here. Already out on Ancient, I will say that Texas Tech has played in a decider on Dust 2 already and won it. I don't think we've seen Michigan Maze pull it out yet.
That's a good point. Having a fallback way though from this fight, taking the fight to the P250. Expo show, able to best all on their lonesome here, 2 versus 4.
Just trying to get in from CT. That's the Drip going to be taken down, but all 4 Michigan players on Snipe. It's Snafafu to just get taken out at the end, but Michigan Maize already starting off well on their map pick.
Yeah, actually, I didn't get to talk to him at all, but Snafafu, I think, was at Philly, at Fried Philly.
Great.
So, yeah, I'd seen him recently. So I'm walking around, like I said, didn't get a chance to have a conversation or anything, but always good to see fellow frag enjoyers here in the collegiate space on the server. But not so fun times for Texas Tech, who are going to have to probably do the opposite of splitting up and looking for clues. They're going to keep together and move in.
With the eco down the ramp, yeah, just quickly eliminated, but you got Shimokin with a bit of a Zeus around the way, as well as House keeping it together with 1 kill on the USP. But all I want to see is the opportunity for the Zeus, and I guess it's still on the ground. House, though, should be around in the mines because he was the player that killed him, and they just got smoking, and there's more damage. He's surely not going to come up with this thing in a 1v4, but that's enough damage done.
Yeah, I mean, by enough, you mean a fantastic amount of damage done. It's not a chance to get anything further for House, but I'd say walking away with that, super happy about the outcome. Our Texas Tech, they're probably enjoying life at the moment. It's actually a tech timeout called for Michigan, which I think more than likely is just about trying to set up this first gun round in the way that they would like, in the fashion that they would prefer. Maybe put Lujak, who has the SMG at the forefront.
I'm into that.
You're into the SMG? I know.
I'm into the SMGs, all right. You know, I still have that Calamity poster on my wall. For
poster?
All the, yeah, it's for all the MP9ers in the room. I couldn't get like one of those fat heads to like literally get stuck to my wall because my parents warned me that he may not be at the top of Advanced forever.
It was your parents who warned you of that.
It might have been you.
It might have been me.
So I don't think I miss smoke. Father.
I don't think.
Hey, I don't think it's so cold.
My bad. I'll get that paid here as soon as I can. What I do know, as we get out of that timeout, wasn't there? I wasn't paying attention. There was a patch the other day that like changed some things with smoke. So is that right?
I am not too sure. Oh yeah, you're talking about there was a patch. I believe they may have already fixed it. There was another patch that came out yesterday, but a lot of smokes weren't landing the way they were supposed to after, and I believe that was kind of dawning on Monday night. So there was a patch that came out yesterday at around 6 p.m. Central that may have dealt with that. I know it fixed the bug of smokes not being in demos. Here goes another crawl down the ramp on the first gun round. Texas Tech gotta get active. The Drip had a big hand in the clutch attempt in the pistol round, but no dice. In a long-range MP9 fight, he's actually going to win it, and saw a back just dip into Cheetah, and House going through it, and Strafes is just going to push it as well. Snafafu, he's going to be dropped, so 2 versus 5 already, and Snarf can try and pick this one back up, and he'll have to. 1v5, not happening.
Yeah, not even a chance. That's Texas Tech. Got to making a statement of a round out of this one. Like, first gun round, we always talk about its importance, particularly when you do so much damage in the eco. But Texas Tech just taking a lot of space, dominating B lane, making sure that Michigan Maize had no comfort there, and, well, beyond just winning their duels, able to overwhelm with bodies from 3 different angles, making Michigan Maize's life very difficult. That's a really nice opening round to help you get off on the right foot.
I would definitely agree. And right now you're seeing Michigan Maize kind of halfway back into things. They have the Deagles and sort of half of the utility to go around this. So the initial pressure put on by Texas Tech is going to be dealt momentarily. While these smokes fade on the corner of middle and in the doors. I do believe the Drip can put one more on this. However, you're going to be getting thin in areas like that. Not another smoke on the board right for Texas Tech at a minute 10.
Yeah, but Michigan just kind of having to respect that whilst the smoke is up. They might not do it for this one. Already teed up the flashbangs. The drip so blinded, but had his teammate to take contact on the other side and long enough before that blind is faded away. Jack is the only one left here in mid. Kranich is already left. Actually, Jack unchecked momentarily, gets a single kill, but it is just the 1v3 attempt going to be made. And so Michigan moving back towards A, but they've got a lot to deal with, and it looks like Schmoken's not even going to get checked here. Won't. So it's a bit of a surprise when Arcanic gets shot in the side of the head.
Nicely done. Resetting Michigan Maize after a nice tempo that they get off to start. And, I mean, going through some of their other results that you had on some of the more varied ancients that Texas Tech had, I mean, like I'm saying, like, this is not a map that you're exactly swaying away from in any aspect at all. It's one of the more popular ones in the pick, unfortunately. Came up in the veto versus UH. I don't believe that game was actually played out, but it was a 16-14 loss that they took versus ISU Varsity just a couple of weeks ago, so they're not completely solid on it. They can still slip that out. That was in a 16-14 overtime game.
Tight. That seems like what this game might end up being, to be honest, after the first bit done. Trying to overwhelm with bodies. It's Strace with a really nice spray control to pick up 3. But a bomb down, that is job done for this round. Michigan get everything that they wanted by getting those numbers punched in. Absolutely perfect. Texas Tech don't end up losing too much either. So I think you kind of walk out of that round handshakes for everybody. Happy across the board.
Everybody in agreement right now. Love to see some of that. But this is where the starts get turned up. The real ball game starts. Or at least you hope so for Michigan. Though I do see an op out for Raiden 007. You have to kind of see the fireworks out on his end. But I got to say, teamwork is currently showing for Texas Tech. Really in, I would say, basic ways, but they're doing it really well. Their middle control out again is still forcing out these players, systematically taking the control. They could push it up to shelf, but they're paranoid about this because I'm not sure how much they actually want to spend holding middle in this first 30-second period.
Yeah, I mean, they set the tone so that Michigan wouldn't be free to take that space, so that now they can be a little bit more passive if they would like to be. And this is an example of that. Smoke for lower B door, but Michigan respected it. They didn't even try and push that. Kranich, in the meantime, off the back of some of that later mid control, now they'll take lane, seeing nobody home.
Ooh. Right on his head. Oh, but Braden just going to be outfought by Snufavu there, right on his head. That's the op going to be dragged out, but the drip is still on the site and has had some pretty effective holds when batted up. 3 frags in the belt so far. We'll see if they actually send it up kind of in the meantime, because there seems to be a little bit more onto the plate with in terms of waiting for an A push through middle. Not currently seeing that on the other end. B-site was all the way roped through at the start of this round, and it looks like that's where Michigan are going to be heading. Look at this flank. Rather, look at this lurk into house. Arcanic can find this, but it is a decision whether to stay here and wait for audible rotations or just try your luck. He just tries his luck and finds the timing.
Perfect timing. In fact, Asian Fo Show able to walk into the site, but the drip hasn't been dispatched with. He's still alive and kicking. In fact, clears out Cave in and of itself alone now, but find time for the move back. That Molotov forces him wide, and that will really put the pressure on for Schmoken, who's going to have to fall this back solo. 1v2 is the attempt. Molly and flashbang with a kit in his back pocket. So this is certainly a doable clutch, but time is of the essence, Mark.
Certainly is. And with all the tools in the belt, somehow just flick firing at the site. Position exposed. No time at all. They know that you are going to try something desperately. It's all tied up with Michigan Maize healing one back.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really nice round set up to end for Michigan. They understand that they don't really want to test Texas Tech early. Kind of let Texas do what they want. Utilize whatever utility that they are going to toss through, both at lane and in middle, and then retake a little later on. It works beautifully. Like, it's such a clean look for Michigan, where they have Arcanic just walk out mid late, sees nobody, no resistance at all.
crazy. There comes a shot down by House. Re-smoking on middle. And as these rounds have gone on, Michigan Maize has started to chip against the middle defense, and there it finally breaks. And here comes the split towards A, where I didn't even realize they had this third player rotated towards me. They're going to have no resistance on the way here.
No, none whatsoever. This is a good call out of Michigan. Whoever's, making this move, understanding kind of where these rotations are and who could be available for the defense. 2 towards mid means that there's probably not going to be anything posted at A left, and that's why they move that direction. Another smoke recycled, and honestly, there's a chance that you just save here. Snarf is up close, though. Brayden could walk into that shadow scene. It's only a tag, though.
He finished the job. He knows he's getting closer, but he can't go 0 for 2. It's going to cost you, and it does. Dripping, smoking. There's probably no chance about this one. Cause a little bit of damage, and that's what Schmoken is going to be committed to. Does have a kit on his back, but I think the attempt would be a little bit crazy at this point of the round. Michigan, they pull off 2 in a row, and Texas Tech started off getting 3 in a row on their CT side responding.
Yeah, I think the Texas Tech still in a pretty good spot, though. They have some problems to address. First and foremost, Michigan figuring them out a little bit with their mid control. But all of that's the back and forth of Counter-Strike. You test areas, you find out what the defense looks like, and then the defense responds. I would have anticipated seeing a purchase this round for Texas Tech, but I think going for a little less aggressive a decision is perfectly valid too. They'll use these 2 guns of Schmoken and Drip to hopefully get something going on a lesser purchase round.
Go some spams off. It's on these pistols now. How quickly has the Texas Tech defense fallen? This quickly. They're already reset. Practically. Kind of just 1 drip fully away from it. I guess there's no pun intended. He could likely sort of send it back if he does find a little bit of space to work back with the M4. And I was cheering for it right now, rather before, so I have to stand on it right now. Brayden is in much better position than the latter try in the previous, but honestly, the entire rest of the defense will fall, and you see the kill feed there. Brayden, no dice.
Yeah, Drip is now solo. Might isolate another duel, does that, but doesn't win it. And so Michigan Maize, after a couple of rounds where Texas Tech were clawing their way back, they tee up an eco after just 1 win, and now Texas get their opportunity, their chance to respond in kind. It's a pretty lush set of utility for them, and I'm curious how they want to approach this, because they've been pretty mid-heavy all the way through, and I think doubling down on that might be a good idea, and it looks like they might do just that. 2 still strong, you're in mid, but our Krennic stands tall on the move. Somehow our Krennic survives that and escapes.
Still surviving, though, in middle. Texas Tech, they've gotten a little bit of money back, and they're just flipping it back to the playbook they tried towards the start of their reign of those couple of rounds they got, immediately going for control and not saving anything for the later round. It's the initial ingredient you kind of have to get in order to set Michigan straight, where now they've got some money under them. They're going to be swinging back just as hard next round. So not only do you want this one to succeed, you want it to go cleanly for you so that you don't have to rebuy into all this. House only has $100 left in the bank account, Vincent. So here come some fights. Bottom of the ramp that aren't immediate, but they are from Stefathu, who goes 2 for 2, clearing out this entire setup.
That's something that Texas Tech has set up, oh my goodness, so many times before. It's Brayden, who, a little slow to start on this one. He's got a double that is made this entirely different. Snarf is now alone, and even after that double, Brayden's still healthier than Snarf currently is. But the smoke is complicating matters, Marky, in a big way. Brayden, I think, just wants to walk through, but no, going to just wait for the fade. Unfortunately, in the meantime, Snarf has been able to full clear game ender.
Oh, and just gets it done. 1 HP. Brayden on the rifle instead of the op. Gets his hands dirty and gets it done as a rifler. 4 rounds now for Texas Tech.
I'm going to be honest. It's a little bit of a weird moment there from Snarf swinging. Didn't necessarily have to, but I think just chasing a timing, right? Hoping that as that smoke's fading away, he's cleared out. Nobody's coming from CT. At least he's pretty certain of that. He's just trying to catch somebody on the move in transition somewhere. and it's just not perfect, not the right time to do so. And a big clutch, as you mentioned, for Braden, who 3 kills in that round, doubled up in mid, changed the story. That one, oh, it's fast. It's so fast for Snafafu, who walks out mid. It was 2 towards B last round. It's 2 towards mid for him this round, but no complications as Schmokin tucks in a corner that surely won't be checked.
Not today, and he's got the bomb down, but does he know about the player in the flank? Checks the front door instead, and somebody was knocking. It was Snarf on the op. Braden, does he have another clutch in him? Down to 50 immediately. That makes it all that much harder. Bomb gonna go down now. And after Braden responds to that clutch, he's left alive to see the results. It's that 6th round gonna be handed to Michigan, and his body left in the end.
Yeah, I mean, poor Braden just gets put in a tough spot there, but I think change of pace for Michigan works very well. Texas Tech caught lacking because remember that push and pull that we've been talking about all game long? Well, Michigan's whole side of that has been that they are pulling back. They're not actually committing to those mid fights early or aggressively, at least not in the first 10 seconds. And so Texas Tech have kind of started resting on their laurels, not quite ready for those more aggressive punchy maneuvers that Michigan pulled out at a great timing.
And this is one of those just, I think, honestly, I got to give a little bit of respect to Texas Tech. However, this point that I'm about to make is just going to flop. So here's what I was going to say, right? Texas Tech has done a really good job kind of staying in this ancient T-side where, you know, if I can stand on this anecdotally for a moment as well, I feel like T-side, this was a T-sided map for some time, sort of like how Anubis is now. I still kind of feel that way when the economy can go a certain way. We know how Michigan likes to dominate, especially on this map. I feel like the half is about to go a little bit worse for them, barring some damage here, making round 12 winnable. We'll see how they're able to stand, because they currently are all staying above 2K, a lot more if that on some. Schmokin has 3,700.
Yeah, making sure to have money for an op if they wanted, I think, is the idea. They're on a couple around loss bonus now, at the very least. But it can certainly get out of control fast. I think that's what you're trying to get at, and that is still the case, regardless, actually, of what side. I think momentum plays a heavy role, as it always has, but more so than ever. What I am not so big a fan of is CZ at this position. This is a tough fight. We'll see what he can do. Fortunately, House able to escape for the time being. Much better spot for the CZ. Still no dice on that one. It's all of A cleared out in a jiffy.
I have to say, Vincent, I don't expect you to be voting for the CZ party on Tuesday. That just goes without your morals, I see.
It does, you know. I feel strongly.
It's a two-party system, you know, the CZs and the 5-7/Tech9.
Exactly. Certainly, there's no way you could have both.
That maybe doesn't stretch that far to that side. But.
Yeah, so no way you could have both, for sure. But, I mean, for right now, an eco round, sure, but Texas Tech, as you're saying, struggle is the name of the game for them into round 12 of this first half. Granted, you know what? I don't want to necessarily talk too soon. This could be a 7-5 half and a 7-5 scoreline for Texas Tech, considering, you know, where they started, how quickly they were able to bounce back. I'm quite impressed with them if they can pick up a fifth.
Tamale right into their grill. Got the AWP up on Snarf for feels like it's the first time on this ancient. Both oppers go with a swing and a miss right at each other. Rather, I think Snarf actually was tagged up by Nade earlier. The drip holding on an angle, just jiggling, and they know where the Snarf has headed it. Now maybe looking for a little more. Yeah, gonna see an elbow and still hunting and going to net one. Oh, almost close on two.
What? I can't believe that there's a third player there. Neither can Snarf, to be honest with you. That being said, a with shot, hard shot, to be fair, one that will put them down. Not out yet, but Michigan gonna have to work their way back into this. Schmokin is another really nice reposition, actually. Kranich gonna have to be really cognizant if they head back towards B of checking this box.
We were hyping on Braden for his clutch ability on the rifle a couple of rounds ago. Now left with in a very big position and unfortunately just timed out there by the smoke And Schmoken's still alive in this spot, is going to try and wait for his teammates to get in, and thankfully this smoke is not pushed all the way to Game Ender. It's just covering on that short side, so Asian Fasho can still try and work this back, but between two angles, he picks the right one, and now here comes the push from the opposite direction, and they're going to be set up fully for it. Asian Fasho waiting for the smoke fade, and they actually find him first. Back of the pillar, that's going to hit hard, and Dual Jack, he's going to get removed, but swapping to the AK is going to cost you. It's an 8-4 for Michigan Maize.
Yeah, that's the outcome that you're kind of teeing up, talking about it, that possibility where Texas Tech had lost sight after their run of rounds. That being said, 8-4, no big deal. It's not a huge deal, I should say, especially not if you pick up a pistol win. And I will say though that Michigan able to bounce back quickly. Like their understanding of kind of a bit of a rock paper scissors game on the offensive side was very nice, right? Understanding that Texas Tech were making some moves, right, that were going to work at least temporarily, and then making the next step work just as well for their T side. It's pretty standard pistol round, though the exception being no house smoke here. A lot of times you're going to see just a house smoke swap, like go back towards A, but no house smoke allows Dual Jack and Snarf to get 3 shots down range. This is an idea that I kind of understand from Texas Tech, but it works out such that they look a little silly.
Fortunately, quite in that pistol round, Vincent. Quite in Lubbock, likely to. 9-4 looked so much better when it was at that 6-4 range, right? And they were just coming off of a failed rifle round, but like we were talking about, and you brought up a good point to kind of go along this for kind of many reasons it goes. It's heavily based off of this momentum. That's why we were cheering so far to get that pistol kind of up in the way, likely to kind of stay along the same course. And it may just be right here, getting all the money with the MP9's got to be dragged down eventually, and is.
Eventuality seems like an inevitability, as it's such a clean round. Stefafu goes down, sure, but he just loses an MP9 and he gets a bunch of kills for the problems they had endured. Michigan, double digits at the first of those opportunities. We're looking at Texas Tech, who now needs something. They require a big turning point round right now.
And that's kind of poetic for how you were describing this game feels for their season, right? This needs to be a big win turnaround game so that they can remain in that playoff conversation. If I am correct, it's 4 teams from the top group A and B, so 8 total to move on to our playoffs.
Right.
You want to be a part of that group, and I know Group A can get really, really competitive in the middle, right? It's funny that we've already seen this Tamu versus Michigan game happen so early, because we know those are a couple big dogs likely to maybe face off again in the postseason. However, you got to nail down maps like Ancient. They currently are. It looks like getting this initial kill in. Oh, and Dual Jack. That is a disgusting lurk out of the smoke. Finds the bomb at the back of the pack, and that is poor spacing if I've ever seen it.
I mean, how can you anticipate that? You're not even looking to space to trade there because there's no anticipation of somebody walking through a smoke right like that. That being said, Schmoken is doing the same smoke criminal behaviors. The Strafes gets his. That's 2 pushing through shelf side, a flank formulating, but Snarp is far too late at this and isn't even going to have a rifle. I think one dropped on the ground up here somewhere. That being said, has elected to keep with the surprise factor.
Had to clear it out with the drip 1v1, and going to be one there equally as so. And the MP9s do end up with 2 frags apiece, but even the initial kill doesn't end up pulling that round fully Michigan's way. Couldn't pull the rest of the cover over. Texas Tech, there's a spark on their T side. Look at how Strafes is doing well. I mean, working this back, 14 frags for himself, but I think besides that one Braden clutch where we did see really good flashes, maybe getting him into more consistent spots has been a little bit of an issue.
You know, what I do wonder, I wonder how that goes down for Strafes. Like 2 kills towards shelf side. Nobody has like any answer for it, but yeah, unreal indeed. Asian for show. Second time in a row that we've seen an aggressive duel here on Jaguar, and both of them won by the CTs of Michigan. It leaves Texas Tech in more of a lurch than they were last round, Marquis. They had mid control at least before when they lost those bodies. Now they have nothing. They just got to pop A.
They are, but it's right into Snifathu's 5-7, who carries on to a second, but now in a 1 versus 4 house, enough space for the plant, and that is good enough for him to get a little bit of money under the belt. But how many more rounds are you planning on having to force this all the way back in? It's not going to be too kind for you in the next anyway. Going for a swing, only able to do 1 more kills worth of damage, a valiant attempt, but there's Michigan back on track.
You know, I think you do got to appreciate, though, the way Texas Tech have been quick to respond on their T side, understanding very well, kind of once they lose some of that space, like what the reaction has to be. That's, for me at least, good understanding of some of the basics that you were talking about them doing very well in those run of rounds they had on the CT side. And I agree with that sentiment. That being the case on a map that isn't their pick is a positive, even though it's 11-5.
Snarf on the op. I think for the first time, completely leaning over towards A. I'm meaning in this game in general. I don't think we've seen just the straight up go of it at the beginning of the round. And
Michigan did it like once.
Yeah, maybe just on that initial rush, but likely repeating it. Here goes that rotation again, all the way through, where you go for that 2 players into middle to try and get that control, right? You leave this open for the retake possibility of this, but there's Snarf stealing 2 frags from Temple. This should be illegal, and right now that has put them quite in a pickle. You're flashing into Donut. You got to respect the efforts, but you're almost signing your own death warrant. It's a 1v4 for House again on the A site, and he gets less than last time.
I just feel so bad for Texas Tech because, again, they're making good decisions. They did that on the last round when they were down, a couple of players when they went back towards A. Nading through the smoke at CT before on that previous was the right play. Flashing through after they lose so much tempo control, that's the right call as well. But so unlucky, honestly, to find 3 players strong in Donut. That's just not often that you're going to see so many people there. Unfortunately for them, Michigan, they had doubled up mid, like you said, so they just had 2 players sitting behind the smoke plus a rotator. I mean, right call. They just had the perfect counterplay, Michigan.
Really quick on this T side now. You know there was problems trying to get into Cheetah so many times where there's the result. It's just trying to equal manpower with manpower, but you're literally getting outmuscled there again. Jack just around the corner, just gonna try and line them up, but Brayden on the other side is just gonna get tagged out, and that's the end to Ancient.
Yeah, a quick end as well. Michigan, they get to the CT side, and then they show no signs of stopping. At Texas Tech, pick up 1 round, just kind of fortunate to find that, and it's over from there. Michigan, I mean, it's their map pick. I think we should continue to characterize that as such, that they pick that map, they find themselves in that position. You expect them to win it, but that's a dominant fashion for them to do so, Marky.
I would agree so. Sorry, I'm just a little dazed. I just whipped this whole thing back on there when Brayden got that 5-7 kill. Actually, I'm just kidding. It was definitely on the all-time because I'm Batman, you know? But yeah, man, that was honestly a pretty great win on this side. You know, you got to get that on the board again for Michigan. It's one that you routinely see, but look, I expected more, I think, straight up. But the game kind of goes a certain way. Maybe you expect a certain performance. I think that's a lot of the strength you're showing from Michigan. You know, that was a map where I think against some teams, I'm pretty sure that was vetoed out during the series versus Texas A&M. But you know, I think that's going to be a stronger pick against opponents where it's going to be rarely vetoed out, where you play so many teams that are immediately going to eliminate Nuke, could go to eliminate Vertigo, or, you know, shoot for your own Mirage where you can respond twice as hard on an Ancient like that. However, again, you know, if Michigan is going to be in such good form tonight, you go onto one of their better maps once more. It's on to Anubis after this.
Yeah, and with that, I think a mystery to solve right here as we jump in to that, a short break while we take that, though, and we will be looking into that second map after this.
This speed exceeds all expectations. Reading speeds are 40% quicker than before, and writing speeds are 55% faster. Through the in-house controller, the per-watt performance has improved up to 50%. The 990 Pro's nickel coating controller for its smart thermal solution technology controls heat. Playing computer games? Obviously the best.
Well, alrighty, it is the game time, or at least the second map of this game as we jump into the action. I'm excited for this one, Marky, because I think we got to look at Michigan's best
Yeah.
on Ancient, and I think that they are good on Anubis, but I'm excited to see what Texas Tech brought because the story that I was telling about Texas Tech on Ancient was that there was a lot of good stuff that didn't quite work out, which means that that good stuff can absolutely move into Anubis.
No, I really agree. I think that we even saw really good levels of individualism when kind of muscled out in fights that were presented. And honestly, like, it's not like they were going for anything too extreme, rolling with the punches in a lot of those kind of moments where they were just out economied, having to sit behind those smokes, having to really deal with your low is going to make it a tough ancient for you where I gotta say, like you said, I think it's more of a what's gonna be not going right today on a team that's more or less consistent on the map. But consistent on the map is the label that I would place on Anubis. I think they have not lost a map that didn't go to overtime. Excuse me, that overtime that I was referring to was that Michigan Maize series that I was referred to. So excuse me. But on Anubis for Texas Tech, I don't believe that they have dropped it once when they have picked into it and played it, Vincent, which has been few and far between because some teams have removed it on them.
Yeah, I listen, I think that's where there's some confidence to be had, but I have a
Yeah,
question for you, Marky.
please.
I'm a big fan of traps myself. Is this a trap that has been set by Michigan? Because they are a pretty good Anubis team. We know that they were at least willing to kind of leave it open to Tamu as an example, and we know that Tamu are good there. So is this something that they have confidence in? Do you think that Michigan have kind of schemed up a way to find two maps in a row that they do feel confidence on as well?
I think you definitely bring up a good point, and you're asking a man of, the same occupation as you, Vincent. However, I like to solve my mysteries a little bit differently. When I like trap the Joker, I don't like make him feel comfortable. But that's the approach. That's the approach that Texas Tech are allowing for respect, right? I don't think Texas Tech are going to be afraid necessarily stepping into this, right? Because they have playoffs on their mind, and if they have to go up and play against a high-seeded team like Michigan Maize, right, like Fisher College over in Group B, whatever you have, you're going to need a solid standing on a map like Anubis. So this is where they have to put up or shut up, and I really like the back end of this BO3 for them. If this Anubis does go well, Dust 2 would be a very served opportunity. It's a flash onto the A site. Michigan Maize are looking to get this ran going quick.
Yeah, leads him into a plant at the very least for Michigan. Snarf trying to work around the smoke and the drip. Currently not worried about that. This might be a bit scary, can get collapsed upon, and that collapse comes through by Asian Show. Our Kranich is good to fend off House in the meantime at camera, and it's the two left, Braden and Strafes, that are now alone, and they're both dinked up. It's dinks for everybody right now as Michigan Maize dominate their way on A.
Yes, they do dominantly. That's a very, very dangerous take. Look, I think maybe the trap element that maybe we didn't realize. Here goes Strafe's going to be contacted and just tabbed out. That was the star over from Ancient in terms of individual performance for Texas Tech. Braden in the back lines is just tabbed out. 4 players survive over for Michigan Maize. In a pistol round that doesn't matter all too much. It's just the dominance and how clean it just showed off. They're going to roll onto this Mac 10 Galil buy, however smooth it will be. The trap part about this is that they get to start on, we bring up like the round differential, whatever it is. We do know Anubis with how it works. You get a couple kills, you really lock down some map control. It can make it easier than other situations to try and lock off the map from rotation. But a leak out of B, Vincent, ready to make a whole lot of money as Asian for show.
Yeah, and 150 damage HE too. That helps make these kills that were already not difficult even easier to check. Oh, that's disgusting. Agent for show though goes down. Actually doesn't get to do the farming that you and I had anticipated. Snafu will try and take up that mantle, but it's not an easy one to take up when now they're spread out a little bit more wildly. That said, Snarf and House, not much more for them to be able to do. And so Texas Tech will start out in the same way that they started out Ancient.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one that they can finally kind of take on the head here. But like I was sort of mentioning with sort of the difficulty level on a CT side Anubis, where you're really gonna have to rely on self-sufficient players in E-box working alone. Kind of through mid, your rotator is gonna be helping out B or A a lot, so you're gonna have to see this. And now reading the game quickly is another part of the play. It's fast in the middle by Michigan Maize. Nafafu drops down to try and just bug into E-box. This is an aggressive put by Michigan Maize to set into this round, but you're getting a lot of information on this. Very, very overacious default.
Yeah, I do think that they were ready to kind of take advantage if they had gotten that kill to swing towards B. That's ridiculous, actually. Our Kranich gets dinked up twice, and then an adjustment made to dink up the guy behind the smoke there in mid. I don't know what Braden was cooking up there, how that happened, but it's super nice to see. Meanwhile, the Drip wins a duel against Dual Jack on A, and so the map control that Michigan had so incredibly tenaciously put into play early into this round is pretty much gone, and they have only one decision, and that's to go back towards B.
Braden, top of the stage, gets a second. Already holding the site down. Snarf trying to at least maybe jiggle a bomb plant, go for a kill, low HP, and with little options on the board, takes the conceded death. And Texas Tech, in their first rifle round, they get up on the board, Vincent.
I'm seeing a lot of these similarities continue to come to the forefront, Marky, from Ancient to Anubis, where Texas Tech, they get themselves into an early start that ain't great, but they immediately bounce back. They find these victories important, though one key difference is that Michigan had a pretty dominant eco round to farm up cash, which has left them 4 AK strong in this second round, or second gun round, I should say. We're going to see some similar scenes with regard to the pressure applied, but the bodies behind it here in mid, very different. Michigan don't have that same control or attempt at mid control.
Timing through a smoke? Not like this. Nufafu executes onto Schmokin. Here a spam can come down. This is all going wrong for Texas Tech after they just worked so hard for this round. The Strafe's still around here after Braden's heroics in the previous, but this is an off angle if I've ever seen one. But no way, he spins around and gets all three! Call him Strafes for a reason as he ducks between the pillar, and now with Arcanic alive trying to chase him down. It's a 1 versus 2, so honestly escaping from this position and his life needing to be saved is needed. However, right in the crosshairs, he still get it. Strafes with the 4K, and that's absolutely sensational.
Dude, it is absurd. Strafes was the talking point of the town, of the entirety of Texas Tech on map number 1, and continues to be as we jump into this second. It's 3 kills, three kills that just hold the line. And after Michigan had so much success, that was, again, a 3-on-5, if I'm not mistaken, that Strafes pulls back all from the brink of devastation. It would have been Texas Tech reset on economy immediately. Now it's Michigan feeling that squeeze. The purse strings taut, in fact, as they don't have any cash to work with.
Oh, and they're being so brutal to them, just pushing it out all the way through B. This is trying to go and get 1 for 1, right? This is trying to just show that we're setting the tempo after you said it initially, just like they tried to pull back on Ancient, right? It's all 5 that they could particularly squeeze out this round. No bomb plant either. There's Texas Tech with the lead as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing those similarities continue. I know I'm a broken record here, Marky, but Texas Tech doing some of the same things that we saw back on Ancient, but it's Anubis that's a little bit different in that, with Strafes kind of having that big moment, right? That's the kind of moment that can turn the table of a momentum that we were discussing into your favor, and I think that's what he may have done. Of course, Michigan, they've got one clear chance to change that whole conversation, and Braden, about to be trying to work back a pick, unfortunately doesn't get the opportunity even to take much of a shot. This is those early picks that the gun rounds for Michigan have been flush with.
Mechanic. Just gonna be walking the tight line around that molly. Flashed in the middle of Michigan Maize, going back to their initial strategy was taking all of that space on their first default. Braden helping out as this rotator player, this time on the A site. Yet to kind of see him fully in this wheelhouse now. Put on with a lot of pressure. He actually gets that frag outside of game ender, and that's a lot more than I thought he would net.
Yeah, with the bomb now down, attempt to be made, but Strafe and Smokin', I think there's still chances for them. The problem is that Strafe is getting flanked right now, and he doesn't necessarily... Oh, wait, hold on. He does know it. He's got everything on lock. It's a great position, actually, for Arkrenic, but he goes down to Smokin's MP9. That's a crazy read for Strafe, who's done it again.
Yeah, this guy is looking unbelievable at the moment, getting a lot of clutch kills and a lot of clutch times for Texas Tech 2 times in a row. It's likely 2 rounds that they should not have had, but you say that a lot, but that's just the way it goes. Michigan Maize going to be wondering what they can exactly accomplish here, likely within double save range, rather going for kind of a half buy here. Maybe saving a little bit more than I thought they would.
I mean, I think, you know, keeping a little bit of extra cash, never a bad idea, never a bad thing to do. What I want to talk about here for the Texas Tech side, though, is that on the CT side that we just got done, you know, talking about how difficult it can be, you know, winning some of those tough rounds is so important for you.
Oh, wow.
Great nade. Oh, massive. That's a little bit more than I think House was hoping for. 2 that he was fighting instead of just the 1 should open up a bomb plan at the very least.
Smoke off camera. And this is where Anubis kind of comes to bite you. For lack of better phrasing. Look at how much control you just get bottlenecking these positions. But it's not going to last forever. The bomb is about to be halfway ticked. And they don't want to wait that long. They're going to blow their way through the smoke, and they find a kill while doing so. And Smokin still close to the spam. You still have Strafes alive, but again, there's no way you get past him. Audible Q made, and Michigan Maize, they've earned it all. 4v3, they stay strong.
This one's gonna hurt. This one hurts bad, and it's not as bad as it could be because Texas Tech have been on such a winning streak, but not all of those have been perfect, which means they're gonna have to dip heavily into the bank accounts in order to make this happen. I think that Texas Tech, they win some of those important rounds, but it's just as important to clean up the quote-unquote easy ones, Marky, and that's one of those that they're gonna want back.
And I gotta, like, add, right, that I respect the audacity to go for that. I feel most teams take the save at any point necessary on a map like Anubis, where it's so necessary to be able to fight kind of toe for toe economically, stay just as strong. But here, you can match that with pace. You can match that by just out-muscling, and both teams are taking that piece of advice. Here through Canals, there's Strafes with another frag back, but continuing. He's checking this rotation towards B. Maybe a little bit too overzealous there with a peek like that. Asian for show. Gonna get eliminated right now. House, all the light dawns on him, Vincent, as everything has worked out so far for Texas Tech.
Yeah, Brayden in the meantime has gone away from the op onto the rifle, just hoping to get this. Do they even check this? Fafu, no, doesn't give it a look. The second attempt is too late, too far gone. His House has ensured another victory for Texas Tech. Is decided, yeah, no, not a chance in hell. They'll be able to take advantage of that. Michigan missing a little bit when it comes to some of those late checks on B in particular. Remember Strace getting away with a lot there.
Riflers are doing such good things. And Texas Tech, honestly, kind of looks out of the round. Situationally, they've looked much better. But they know that series is on the line, right? Got to make this thing a reverse sweep, and they have plans to have this thing go to dust too. Gotta earn it first, and that's how you will do it. Here's another shot that's got to be set up. Op hasn't dead to right. Snarf set a little bit of a struggling start. Gets that kill right back.
Drip was thinking about making a move forward, but instead tucks to basket instead. Probably the better move. This is really ambitious from Strafes, to be honest with you. That's just a fight that, you know, it's one thing to take that when an op was there previously. It's another to nade into the smoke, because that's going to give Snarf the information that you're making a move, whether it's actioned upon or not.
A little bit of normalcy maybe for Brayden now, holding as an individual. This is what I was speaking towards at the beginning of the game. Whenever you start to lose players on this extremity, it's going to have to be very kind of balanced across the map rather than maybe on a map like Inferno, you would double up on A and you would solo hold on B. So it's extremely valuable to try and have these players like Schmokin, like Strafes, but Strafes not alive this time. Schmokin looking to try a little bit of his luck in the smoke. However, I think a part of him may have been sticking out because Brayden's barrel now going to be posted up, and right behind the obelisk now is going to be this bomb planter, but sensing something behind him. What is this read by Brayden, who almost flicks onto this last player, and now the drip just came down, but it drops onto his head. It's Asian for sure, making sure you're dead, and it's 4th for Michigan Maize.
This is what I was talking about before when I was talking about having those individuals come back in and making those plays that can win you around on their own. Brayden just about doing that. He honestly made the play, teed up his teammate for a clutch that, you know, Asian Fosho just actually made the proactive play. But, you know, regardless, you have to respect that Texas Tech are having those moments that didn't happen on Ancient.
I mean, it's really wild stuff. Especially with that flick back on the op. Brayden really showed it to us. I mean, had to have had the slightest of audio cues, maybe a call out of the flank, out from middle, but very nice try, and Azen for show. Like you said, I mean, in no instance is he daunted by the big plays. He still stays in it no matter how daunting it does look. After that, got to take a breath, probably on both sides. Michigan Maize, it's called by them.
I think always good to be able to take a moment to take that breath. And I will say that I think on both sides of the equation, a lot of teams end up not utilizing those timeouts. Texas Tech, Michigan, both doing a good job of that. Here's the forward position. Snarf hits off 2 for the price of admission of 1. Though House, he's provided a clear diagnosis. B site not open for business, at least not from the main side. He's going to have to deal with it on the approach from E-Box. He's removed. And with him gone, it seems that the round might be 2. Texas Tech will have to make their way back in, but a post plant that isn't quite active yet, may be still approachable.
And not eyes on the street right now to provide a little bit of a timing because the smoke is just split into the way. 40 seconds now onto this clock. Here comes the play, and Brayden does get one, but it's just roped up, so information onto both, but a decent start with the dink, but can't take it all the way to the sink. It's tied up, and it's 5-5, Vinny.
You gotta appreciate where Texas Tech are at right now, Marky. They are in the same spot that they were on Ancient, man. 2 rounds left in the half. They're poised and ready to take a save. And that means that likely they're going to be on the back end of this, but they've already done the hard yards on this CT side. Right? 5 rounds. You'd love to get another, but 5 rounds is damn good, actually. It wouldn't be a problem if Texas Tech didn't get anything more. So, whereas on Ancient, we were really talking about how important it was for Texas Tech to kind of claw back a little bit. Here, it would even just be a little bit of a bonus, I think.
What you're really hoping for is good enough footing to get up a 6th and 12. However, walking into what is the heavier of the 2 sides, Nefafu on a swing. Now that is that kill brought back, and keeping on with a little bit of aggression, not going to be going over the line. Collected an AK, but with the damage done, maybe the round out of the conversation for the most likeliest of situations, but at this point, Texas Tech still with a way to bargain. 1v1 in the site, and Snarf is lucky he just hit that flick.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice flick. Snarf was sort of required to hit that, if I'm being honest with you, considering how important that could have been. Denying Snarf would have been denying the round almost a certainty. House will be trying to build on what he has gathered this round. AK, but will it even be saved? Doljak is around.
No, oh, the knife out. He tries to fall to the floor in no armor. Doljak muscles that one out. Ooh, Michigan Maize. This is having the implications of the first half of Anubis, but just a little bit, rather the first half of Ancient, just a little bit further on Texas Tech's side. Right here, it would be kind of all that better if they want to push this out to 6-6, but I think if it kind of musters up its way to that 7-5, you're not all too disappointed knowing how strong this T side can get when momentum flies to your side.
I'm a little disappointed to see that Strafes is on a scout in this round. Didn't quite have it. Maybe shouldn't be disappointed, though. That's the opening pick for the scout, actually. Able to break off one. Looking to maybe play a little bit further forward. Molotov into the site. It's going to make life a little bit difficult, or not. Drip and House swing together to leave Dual Jack out of the equation. Braden gets his in mid. And now Texas Tech have such a massive advantage, they don't even really have to worry too much about this.
Yeah, the scout purchase at the beginning and that initial fight maybe leans to the idea of a bit of weaker range around probably the sites there. As individuals, they go for a little bit of a spread out towards A initially, the response through middle, leaving Snafafu and Asian for sure to get that all the way through. I don't know why it completely, like, unshortened that just now. However, in this 2v5 would be a larger task to fill for Strafes. Currently holding it rather for Michigan Maize. The bomb plan doesn't go anywhere here. Schmokin about to be executed, rather Asian for show. And now Schmokin just pushed all the way down. It's a 6-6.
I'm loving that. I think Texas Tech have come in and proven something here early, that they have exactly what they needed on Anubis. It's tied at the half, and that seems closer than it is because, you know, Texas Tech on the CT side. I think that we saw Texas Tech actually play a half of Counter-Strike that looked, from an individual perspective, a little bit better. Michigan just had a good game plan coming into this, and they did everything right that they needed to come in and win some of these rounds. Good default. They had the opening picks more often than not. That obviously a big factor, but it wasn't even one player in particular who was breaking those off. It was a team effort.
A quick moment to pause between the halves here, called out by the Texas Tech side. Hopefully everything is as positive as it is on the scoreboard. Excuse me. 3 players with 11 frags. Braden maybe struggling a little bit on his first map, but like, I think if you want to point that anecdotally, Texas Tech were maybe struggling a little bit on an Ancient that Michigan Maize were very eager on to start out, and we're not letting very much space allowed back into that. So we'll see if whatever they have planned up here in this pistol, Michigan Maize didn't make it too complicated for you. It's just that straight up A rush. I wouldn't be too surprised if that's where you see it go, considering that double set smoke.
It wouldn't be too crazy. But it looks like they're gonna house smoke, ready to do the classic E-box split. I think more often than not, this is a good plan. But 3 players inside of E-box, this is crazy. With the dualies on 2 of them, oh my goodness, this is hard to best. The Glock's typically advantaged in that position, but the dualies are so good there. What a perfect place for Michigan to be posted up against Texas Tech's pistol round. That seems like Texas Tech got read entirely.
Yeah, they were absolutely ready for anything that was going to be thrown at them there, and specifically well prepared for it on B. We can go ahead and retake elsewhere. Michigan Maize, they've shown a lot of strength on a couple of those pistol rounds in particular, but here on Anubis, that's 2 for 2, and it's going to be very hard to win a map when that's currently sitting in the agenda.
Looking at these HEs and wondering kind of where they might be posted, it's kind of interesting that they don't get tossed in early somewhere. They're trying to get some confirmation on where these guys are located, and then they want to throw the HEs in, which I think is pretty cool.
2018 Astralis.
Hello. Now the HEs come through?
Maybe.
Well, they did.
Try.
Just all in 3 different locations.
Provided some damage. And that's an air quote. But
Some.
couldn't see it. 8-6 just like that, and Texas Tech, who, you know, worked so very hard to get those last couple of rounds back, especially, you know, like staring down the barrel of a difference between a 6-6 and a 7-5, now kind of have that page flipped anyway. They're sitting at a 6-8, but they came up on that first gun round on their CT side very, very strong. Let's see if it's the same energy here.
I think that's been a consistency for Texas, right? It's coming out and having something to say in these early rounds, or early gun rounds, I should say, even if they lose the pistol. Now, I love the full take idea from Michigan towards B. This is an early move that really dominates the map control. Snarf, how does he win that with an MP9 from that range? That's ridiculous. It flashes both directions. Poor Drip can't see, but his teammates can. Dual Jack comes through, and he too goes 1 for 1. You're okay with those trades with MP9s.
Underhanded smoke. Wiggle room. That is in the equation. Brading posting a headshot right here. It comes down to the wire, but you're looking towards Drip to defend it at the moment, but it's House right here in the middle of the site, high in the cake, and they have bought themselves a lot of time with this camera smoke going to be fading in the next 4 seconds. Oh, Molly going to be hitting him up, but not ready for it. Try to go for it all, but now the Drip, he's going to be quite low, and he can't get the frag anyway at Game Ender. It's Nefafu who muscles it out, and the first gun round going to be denied on Texas Tech side. Michigan, they stay in control.
Yeah, full 10-second defuse on this one, too. Nefafu didn't have time to play that out slow like. Another moment for Texas Tech, though, Marky. I keep pointing them out because I think that this is really going to be important when we talk about, regardless of how this map ends or this game ends, when we talk about Texas Tech and what they did well, I think you have to appreciate how they set themselves up for success, even though it doesn't work out there, right? Like, a good swing at the end. I think it was from House at the end of that one. Like, it's the right idea. It just missed the shot. Not quite able to lock it down. Here's a B rush where Snarf has the EWP locked in on location. We'll grab another one. A third, in fact, for Snarf. And there's more to be had, but it's for Braden instead, though he gets dunked down. A tactical nuke dropped on his head.
It is just rubbing your face in the dirt, salt in the wound, whatever you want to say. You run through the smoke and try and find something magic out of the hat. I mean, this is looking a little bit damaging for you in the middle of this half where you're hoping things to be swinging around. Low HP, likely into the crosshair, not once but twice, maybe with an HE to remind you that it's time. There goes that peak, and he's going to put you to sleep. It's only Snarf that got removed. Hopefully they found that AWP. Asian for show did collect.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, Texas Tech just trying to pace up a little bit on an eco round. I think there's some validity there, but considering what they had invested, I would have liked to see like a street smoke and a temple smoke, right? Get kind of the wall of smokes covering off back flat and street side, and then maybe they could have had a little bit more success where, you know, otherwise it was just some flashes to send them in, and Michigan were unaffected. So we're going to see a real gun round, though, out Texas Tech again with the chance to bring this back. But I'm getting some more flashbacks, Marky. Michigan yet to drop anything here in the second half.
Smoked out right to E-Box. Texas Tech. This is an opportunity that they likely didn't think presented, and on an angle like that, you can punish. That Snarf going to be dragged out in a body bag with Nefafu with the A site on lock, and they're so comfortable with this. It's like they're already waiting for the rotations to come from elsewhere, but the bomb is still backed up. Good thing that Strafes is just such a good killer. He's got 3 in the clip right now, and they're just going to be catching up with him.
Yeah, I mean, this is a round that should be lost every single time. Texas Tech take their time about even getting into the A site, but when they do, it's together. It's the bomb and it's the plant, all in order of operations here. Michigan will be trying to save, but honestly, even that is questionable at this juncture. Pranic is going to have to fight his way out of there. Does do that. So now it's an AK grab. They can make this a little bit more expensive still for Texas Tech. I don't know about doable. I don't think you ever want to go for this, but the fact that they're going to get out with 2 weapons means that they'll be fun to extract.
Maybe a little bit more damage on that way out. Likely the better of the 2 plays that I'm suggesting. You know, I'm of the mindset, oh, very exciting double kill. Let's go ahead and go for this, right? You're so excited seeing off of what you have just earned. It's Texas Tech who find their first on their T side, where only surviving with 1. It's going to have to be some Galils that support up all these AKs that are going to be kind of forced up with not a lot of util. It's only one Galil you only see up. No nades on Drip and Schmokin. Gonna be very tough for you.
Well, I mean, it certainly won't be easy. That being said, it seems like A is the move from the rip on this round. Very clear indication of where they want to go. And at the moment, Stefafu is the only guy here. Only guy, and he's the only guy in the zip code. Dualjack in mid is in house. It's going to be a quite long rotate for him. That smoke, hopefully to buy time, but even that is going to have to be fast. Our Kranich is on the rotate, though.
And at a certain point, I mean, you see them pushed all the way outside of B, Vincent.
They don't know what's going on. Michigan are really confused at what Texas Tech are looking to do. They know they have to be towards A because of that push you just mentioned, but they're not finding anything, and there's a lot of suspicions brewing.
Doubled up on A. That's about as much as they're willing to stack a coin on it in the early round. Don't get the sense of anything lurking too Donnelly towards E-Box. You would have heard the water kind of shift. Oh, that's a deadly nade. But still, it's the head decapitated. Re-peeking in from heaven could cost you. The Galils are fixed right in your position, but buy your team a little bit of time. Dueling on the nades. Oh, and he does the job. It's our Kranich that can now deliver the last couple of kills because he supported the entire time. Michigan, they walk that fine line all the way to 11.
Yeah, and Texas Tech are playing on hard mode right now, Marky. Hard mode because they didn't have any map control, and Michigan found that out really early into the round. You mentioned Snarfu pushed B, but then they cleared mid as well. They didn't necessarily have like full canal control, but they knew that Texas Tech had to be leaning towards A. So all of that utility, HEs, Molotovs, flashbangs, they're all perfectly placed. Michigan, they probably got 200 utility damage in that round alone.
Dualjack, alone in middle, is feeling the heat without a ton of footsteps, just has the pressure on in his mind, and now you're going to have to adjust to it. Asian for show going to be up there at house, but with space in between, trying to just change this. Lucky on the spams. It's Dualjack to go for two. It's Nefafu delivers one as well. Blades are out! It's Nefafu! It's a bloody murderer, and he's still alive as well. It's a 1v4 for house, but I think it's all about to come down on Texas Tech. 12-7 is the score.
We might be dressed up, but so is Nefafu, bro, is feeling the spirit.
Slasher, man.
He absolutely is. Got a mask on and everything for sure. It's Michigan Maize at 12-7. They've got a 5-round buffer to find the victory in 2 maps to be clear as well. Oh boy, Texas Tech. That was their eco, but that one's going to be one that hurts them into a little bit.
It up, trying to get a little bit more space outside of A. Snarf needing to extend this game, or needing to close it, unfortunately. Will be burned alive. Can't have too much liberties on that. The Drip gets 1 frag back, but I think Dualjack may just try to drop to the first floor. Many options available, but now sensing one player behind this smoke, just gonna be showing that he's patient, but maybe too patient. 2v2 sitting right here.
Fafu in prime position, though. If he gets to this off, oh, he gets there in time, but it's a missed shot. Now he can get locked in. It's even better from Stefafu to get that second opportunity, and it's, guess who, our Kranich, who we talked about a lot in map 1, but been somewhat silent here in 2 in a 1v1.
In-game Ender again has been the position that has costed them, and it will this time as well. Michigan Maize, they put the signature on what is one of their more impressive 2-0 wins. Looking to see Texas Tech in playoffs? Well, this is what you have right over their head. That's a great win. Texas Tech needed that one badly, but it's another loss to their column. They go to 2-3.
Yeah, I mean, that's bad news as well, because I think, unfortunately for them, that solidifies their position in 5th place. They're going to need some help, I believe. Yeah. They obviously got one more week of regular season play, but I think that, with Queens Gales right ahead of them, at 3-3, they need a win next week for sure. This is a really important win for Michigan, not because it moves them up or puts them into the best position. It does, though, move them up. What it does also do is solidify. I don't think there's any way they can drop out of the top 4 anymore. That's what's so important for Michigan.
Yeah, and I think that in all accounts, it was impressive on all of the bars that they wanted to achieve, right? On one of their map picks, which it's not like you're swinging into a series, which, when I see a match that I'm covering and the vetoes are lining up, Vincent, I know this is going to be a good one. And it was. Like, if we go 3, it would have been just as close as that second map. I was feeling maybe a little bit better one way or the other. You're feeling it, but I mean, we got the price of admission in just 2 there, but, if you're a fan of the Michigan Maize, you're extremely satisfied with how much withstance that they did have towards the end of Anubis when they were just stretching and then ripping right back to win it. I mean, that was great.
Yeah, I think that there was a lot to like for Texas, but ultimately, I think that the depth of this Michigan roster starting to come to the forefront there towards the end. It made it very difficult for like think about. I just want to toss it out there: the amount of like clutch rounds and moments that happened in that second half in the favor of Michigan. That was just often the case. And you know what? As much as it's the T side, man, dude, the amount of times that Michigan just kept Texas in the economic doldrums that they just couldn't break out of. They were fighting. They had their fists out. They were trying desperately. They just couldn't find a way to break through. That's another big positive, I think, for Michigan. And it shows that I don't think we saw the best of them when we saw them on stream, the first time, even for what the little bit we were able to look at.
Yeah.
I'm happy to say that Michigan continuing to show off and look better and better.
Yeah, and I think that for Texas Tech, while I think you're going up against one of the tougher opponents, it's, maybe a little bit daunting to find yourself record-wise where you are middle of the season. But I mean, dude, look to Strafe and look to a lot of these individuals who made an insane difference in this series all the way through. I mean, I think Ancient was definitely a little bit closer than it seemed, but like we got to see amazing stuff from Braden on that second map on a rifle, like in flashes you saw
and on and up
on Ancient too. Yeah, I mean, I think that was what oh man, dude, that hold was insane. When he flicked back to that street player, I thought he was about to complete the clip, but I mean, that's close enough, and that's good enough for me. I mean, they had his back. House, I believe, was the one that came in to get that final kill. Honestly, anecdotally, I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly. However, Arcanic and House did some awesome work as well, but not good enough. Not good enough to get 2-0 over Michigan, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, not this time. So Texas Tech still left wanting, and Michigan Maize on the upswing, dominating their way through 2 maps of Counter-Strike. Though that is the end of our night. We got festive early, by the way.
Yes.
Tomorrow we got more Halloween-y broadcasts coming. Costumes not required, but hey, highly encouraged. Please, it's fun to get dressed up. Tomorrow it is Rocket League that we will be here with on the NECC channel. We start out with Waterloo Warriors up against the University of Delaware's varsity team. That starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then we got Overwatch on Friday as well. So with all of that being said, we appreciate you tuning in. It's been a blast, and we'll see you next time here at the NECC.
This speed exceeds all expectations. Reading speeds are 40% quicker than before, and writing speeds are 55% faster. Through the in-house controller, the per-watt performance has improved up to 50%. The 990 Pro's nickel coating controller for its smart thermal solution technology controls heat. Playing computer games? Obviously the best.